Hello, dear viewers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is MD Saiful Islam, an assistant teacher of High School of Bangladesh, and you are most welcome in my Saiful English Academy. Hope that you are very fine by the grace of Almighty Allah and watched my previous classes smartly, and you are active to watch my various kinds of videos classes. So, my dear learners, like. And take a look at the board and try to understand. My dear learners, of course, so you know that various kinds of class our discussion of rules of trading apps already have been finished various kinds of classes. Class number 1, class number 2, class number 3, class number 4, class number 5, class number 6, and with the reference of our previous classes. Today's class been present in front of you with an advertisement in class and position of an adverb. So, my dear learners, knowledge, take a look at the board and try to understand. My dear learners, you'll have to mind that adverb is a very important philosophy in our English grammar. And of course, I know that you'll be able to reply my questions. What's an adverb? You were told in my previous classes about definition of various kinds of participles. You were told that, my dear learners, an adverb is a type of suffix which modifies a verb, an adjective, or even an adverb. Sometimes it modifies the whole sentence. The whole sentence. And this class, I'm trying to show you about the position of an adverb. My dear learners, first position, you have to mind that, my dear learners, if you notice any gap in a sentence before subject, that means if you notice any gap of a sentence before a subject, you'll have to use the adverb form of the base form or keyword. My dear learners, with the reference of this rule, I may give some example. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Bangladesh is um, beautiful country of the world. Okay, my dear learners, notice this sentence. In this sentence, there is a gap before a subject. And you'll have to mind that, my dear learners, if you notice any gap in a sentence of course, beginning of a sentence, at that moment you'll have to mind that, my dear learners, the base form of the word must be an adverb form. In the box I have written an buzzword to this word actual. Now, try to clarify what category the person is. Of course, it's an adjective, and you'll have to change this from adjective into an adverb. So, let's what's an adverb form of actual? Of course, actually, actually, of the you have understood clearly. Man is mortal. Man is mortal. Within bracket, nature. My dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand some what's adverbs. In this sentence, there is a gap before a subject or before a whole sentence. So you'll have to use the adverb form of the base word nature. In the box, I have written base word in nature. Of course, it's a noun. It's a noun, and you'll have to change this noun into adverb form. That means naturally. Naturally. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, next word, Rohim got A plus in the exam within bracket for you night. Okay, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. And there is a gap before a subject or a whole sentence of this sentence. My dear learners, if you notice this condition, you'll have to add the form of the base word. So, my dear learners, the correct answer of this word fortunate, of course, an adjective, and try to change this word into adverb fortunately. For unit name of the you have understood clearly. My dear learners, try to understand number question number 1 and question number 10. You have to mind that if you notice any gap before the subject or before whole sentence, you have to use the adverb form of the base word. Adverb form of the base word of the you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now trying to show you another position. Middle learners, if you notice any gap between a subject and a verb of a sentence. If you notice a gap between a subject and a verb of a sentence, you'll have to use adverb form. You'll have to use adverb form. So, my dear learners, I hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, various types of examples may be offered with the reference of this position, such as um, Rohim speaks the truth. Number two, farmers gave work in the field. Usual, I love you very much. Reality. Okay, my journalists, I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adverb, my journalists. Try to notice in these three types of examples, so there are three gaps between subject and verb. So my journalists will have to use an adverb form of the base word. First base word, of course, of course, noun, and change this word noun into an adverb. That means always. Next, usual, of course, an adjective, and you have to change this for into an adverb. That means usually. Usually. Next word, reality, of course, and now noun, and you'll have to change this form into an adverb form. That means really, really. Of that you have understood clearly. Of the chart you have understood clearly. Now, Dylan is next position I have to mind. If you notice any gap before verb and object, verb and an object, you'll have to use adverb form. You'll have to use adverb form. That you have understood clearly. My Dylan is next position. If you notice if you notice any gap after a noun, especially last of a sentence. If you notice any gap after a noun, especially suspense of incident may be sent in a sentence last of a sentence. last of a sentence, you may notice a gap after noun, but last of a sentence, you'll have to use the adjective form. And various kinds of example may be given with the reference of this position, such as reach the children dash regular learn English smart listen to your teachers foliage. Okay, my dear, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adverb. In these three examples, so we can see there are three gaps after a noun, especially last of a sentence. So, my dear learners, I may instruct you if you notice such kinds of condition, you have to use adverb from. First word regular. Of course, it's an adjective, and you have to change this form into adverb that means regularly. Secondly, smart, of course, an adjective, and you'll have to change this word into an adverb that means smartly. Third words, polite. Polite, of course, an adjective, and you'll have to change this word into an adverb that means politely. Politely. Of course, you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now I'm trying to show you another position. Another position. My dear learners, another position is, my dear learners, if there is a gap before an adjective in a sentence, you have to use the adverb form of the base word or keyword, and with the reference of this position of an adverb, various kinds of examples may be given. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. The girl became cagey. Purnima looked smart, complete. Rohim, Sam, serious. Okay, learners, I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adverb. Learners, we can see that, learners, there are three gaps before an adjective, of a sentence. So, learners, you'll have to use the adverb form. Adverb form here instead of put an adjective, and you'll have to change this word into an adverb that means in Charlene, complete, completely, and seriously. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, next position, think about the next position. My dear learners, if you notice any gap between be verb and an article and an article in a sentence, you have to use the adverb form in the gap. Mind it, and try to study nobody. If there is a gap between be verb that means I'm either Roger and an article that means A and B. And first kinds of examples may be given with the reference of this position. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Speaking the truth is a good habit. Good habit. Ensure working in the morning a good habit. Ensure speaking in English is a good thing to tell. Okay, Major, I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adverb. Major, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. There are three gaps in these three sentences between be verb and article. Be verb and article. Be verb and article. Be verb and article. So, Major, let's have to use the adjective form of the word. Ensure a person verb, and you have to change this word into an adverb that means surely. Surely. Ensure puts an adjective and change this form into adverb that means entirely. Total puts an adjective and change this form into an adverb that means totally. Hope that you have understood clearly. Maybe let's now think about the next position of an adverb in a sentence. Netherlands. If you notice any gap between V3 form of principal verb and a preposition, if you notice any gap between principal V3 form of principal verb and preposition, in this case, you will have to use an adverb form of the base word of the base word, and various kinds of examples may be given with the reference of this position. So, media learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Media learners, speaking the truth, speaking the truth is praised by people within bracket high. Smoking is hated by all. Universe. Speaking in English is praised by all people all over the world. Enter. Okay, then let's Take a look at the board and try to understand. So I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adjective of an adverb. So my dear learners, try to notice and try to change this kinds of this word into an adverb. B3 form of verb, phrase, preposition by, B3 form of verb, preposition by, B3 form of verb, preposition. So my dear, let's say you'll have to use an adverb form of this word high, of course an adjective, and change this form adverb into an adverb. Okay, my dear, now that you have understood clearly. Universe, of course, a noun, and change this form, that means change this keyword into an adverb, that means universally. Okay, next word entirely, of course an adjective, and change this word into an adverb, that means entirely. Of the job you have understood clearly. My dear learners, and now think about the next position of an adverb, of an adverb. Next question, my dear learners. If you notice any gap between any auxiliary verb and principal verb, auxiliary verb and principal verb. Okay, my dear learners. In this case, you'll have to use an adverb form of the base word, and adverb form of the base word, and what kinds of example may be given. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. We are ensure. You must speak in. You must speak in English, or we should help the firm. Undoubted. Okay, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. I have written three examples with the reference of this position of an adverb, my dear learners. In these three examples, there are three gaps between an auxiliary verb and principal verb. Auxiliary verb and principal verb. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand auxiliary verb and principal verb, auxiliary verb and principal verb, auxiliary verb and principal verb. There are three gaps in these three sentences, so we'll have to use an adjective form. So, my dear learners, try to change this form into adjective ensure. Of course, change it to adverb form surely. Surely, I am, which turns into always. Undoubted will change into undoubtedly. Of which you have understood clearly. My dear learners, next position. If you notice any gap after principal verb or any verb last of a sentence, last of a sentence. If you notice any gap last of a sentence, or from after a principal verb last of a sentence, or any verb last of a sentence, you have to use an adverb form of the sentence. Okay, my dear learners, hope that understood clearly. And various kinds of example with the reference of this position. The baby cried loud. The girl is laughing. Nice. The man is walking slow. Okay, Megan, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. I have written two examples in the board show the reference of this position of an adverb. In these three sentences, there are three gaps after a verb of a sentence, such as kind of is a verb, laughing opposite verb, walking opposite verb. So, my dear learners, according to the sequence, according to the position, I will have to use in this three position opposite an adverb from loud, adjective, and change this word into adverb loudly, nice, of course, an adjective, and you'll have to change this adjective into an adverb that means nicely, slow, of course, an adjective, and change this verb into adverb that means slowly. Um, hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, last position of today's class, take a look at the board and try to understand. If you notice a gap between infinitive to and V1 form of verb, between infinitive to and V1 form of verb, generally we can see that, my dear learners, after infinitive to, all time V1 form of the verb is used. But sometimes it is seen that there is a gap between infinitive to and V1 verb, and in this case, you have to use an adverb form. Okay, my dear learners, hope that you have understood clearly. I ordered the students to complete their homework. The head teacher of my school charged me to initially do the work. Father child mother to to finish the work quickly. Quickly. Confirm. Okay, my dear learners, that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, I have written three examples in the video, the reference of this position of an adverb. So, my dear learners, I try to realize the condition about the position of an adverb in this position. My dear learners, infinitive show and V1 complete. Infinitive show and V1 duo. Infinitive show and V1 finish. So, my dear learners, we had better use an adverb from these three gaps. So, my dear learners, try to solve yourself serious, turns into seriously, in tired, will be changed into entirely, confirm will be changed into confirmly. Hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, in this class, I'm trying to discuss about the position of an adverb in a sentence. that you have understood clearly. Dear learners, I don't want to limit today's class, but I want to share some information with you before finishing today's class. Of course, you know that I'm a new teacher in a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to use English formats at the time of making my various kinds of video classes. So, my dear learners, if you notice and faults or mistakes in the midst of my video classes, please excuse me and try to avoid it so that I can help you, I can cooperate you, I can serve you in this way through my video classes throughout my life. So, my dear learners, you know what, today, come to say again with a new version and a new class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.